Hey guys, welcome back. So today is a pretty exciting episode for me. Today we are going to talk about DOS PC games. My family got their first PC in 1989 and it was a Tandy 1000 TL. I believe the reason that we got it was because my mom was going back to night school to further her degree and she must have needed it for her schoolwork. I'm not really sure. We got that computer and they set it up in their office in the basement. And I really wasn't overly interested in it. Like 89 was when I got my Nintendo, and so I was primarily playing video games with my Nintendo and reading Nintendo Power. And the computer was kind of out of sight, out of mind. I did check it out. There was a Hangman game that I played for a little bit. And then there was like an art program that I drew a picture for my mom for like her birthday or Mother's Day or something like that. But I really didn't start playing PC games in earnest until 1994. My stepdad went out and bought a Compaq Presario. I think it was a CDS like 924. I don't know if that's right, but for some reason that's sticking in my head. And it was a 486 with 8 meg of RAM, CD-ROM, 14.4 modem. And right around the same time that we got that PC, Chris, he also got a PC. He got a Packard Bell. And so, kind of like the Sega CD, we both got PCs right around the same time. He was an only child, so he was getting like PC games like right and left. So we had this beneficial relationship, kind of like the Sega CD, in that I got to experience a lot of games that I might not have been able to experience because he bought them. He got to experience, I would say, less games because the games that I bought tended to be like military-themed flight simulators and stuff like that. And I don't really think he was into that. He didn't buy anything like that. But I got to experience a lot of titles through him, and then we traded games. So my memory is really blurry about what games I actually own and what games I didn't. Like the games that I bought, I remember owning those, but when it comes to actually to some of these titles up here, I can't remember if I bought them or if we traded or Chris let me borrow them. I don't remember. But the first piece of PC gaming software that I ever got was actually the Christmas in 1990, and it was Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. It's a game that I didn't ask for. I wasn't a PC gamer at the time, and I got it for that Christmas, and that got me to use the Tandy a little bit, but I was terrible at that game. The first question, I feel like it was identifying Carmen's henchmen, and like they would ask you about hair color and eye color. And there's actually a sheet that I want to show you. It shows all of Carmen's henchmen. It mentions their eye color and hair color, so I think you kind of use the sheet to answer that question. And then I don't know if it was I don't know how many questions there were because I might have been able to capture one of her henchmen, but I never caught Carmen ever. Like, I was 10 or 11 years old when I was playing that game, and, I didn't know anything, and so I'm flipping through this encyclopedia to find the answer, and by the time that I did that, it was way too late, and the crook or whoever had moved on to somewhere else in time. So I didn't really like that game all that much. I played it a little bit. To this day, it is the only Carmen Sandiego game that I've ever played. I spent more time watching the game show on television than I did actually playing that game. But I do own the game. It's in my collection because it has the nostalgia and the memories tied to it as being the first piece of PC gaming software. So I thought I would show that. And then I've got two games over here that Chris showed me. I don't know which one he might have showed me first. I just remember that these were the first two games that he showed me. And he must have got his PC before me because we were playing them over at his house and his computer only had 4 meg of RAM and ours had 8. I don't know what other differences there could have been, but when he brought them over and installed them on my stepdad's computer, he was like, whoa, these look way better. We were able to like push a higher resolution or something like that, because at his house, the text was all chunky, and at my house, the text was not as chunky. So yeah, he must have got his PC first. And then kind of like with the Nintendo and Sega, like, you got to defend what you have. So of course Chris is saying that Packard Bell's like the best thing ever, and I'm like, nope, Compaq is the best thing ever. And like all my friends ended up getting Packard Bells, all their monitors ended up dying, and that was a way for me to kind of dig in and see, like, see, I told you, Compaq's better. I mean, you know how kids are. You gotta think that your stuff is the best, and you gotta defend what you have. So let's take a look at some games here. So here is Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. And the cool thing about big box PC games is they always came full of stuff. It's kind of funny how big these boxes are, because some of the times there was more than enough space inside the box to fit all the stuff, and like you would, turn the box and you'd hear everything like flop around in there. But I think it was kind of like the food that we buy. Like you look at a bag of potato chips, that entire bag of potato chips is not full, but I'm assuming that the manufacturer wants it to be a certain size so that you can see the product on the shelves. And I think it might have been kind of the same way with PC games, but eventually they actually put like cardboard risers inside of these things to like take up space, because there was so much space in the boxes. So there's the box for that. This game came with 5 1/4 inch floppies. And then a 3 1/2 inch diskette. Being that I didn't start playing PC games until '94, the majority of games that I bought were all on CD-ROM. I only own 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I only own 4 games that have diskettes, and I think only 2 of those have got 5 1/4 inch floppies. All my PC games are on the shelf over here. Yeah, I think only 2 of them have got the 5 1/4. But when we talk about diskettes, or most of my experience with using discs was actually in middle school. We had computer classes through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and one of the requirements for class was that you had to buy a disc so you could save all your work on that. So I primarily used a disc for that, but then at home when I was gaming, what I used discs for was for boot discs. I've always been what I consider, well, I shouldn't say I've always been a console gamer. Like I started off with consoles, and when I started playing PC games in the mid-90s, I always had issues getting the games to run. I don't know if I ever bought a game that I was able to install and get it to run right. Like, they always seemed to crash, and I would have to make a boot disk. And Chris showed me how to do that because he had the same issue. And we didn't have discs sitting around. Like, I don't even know why my mom and stepdad, I don't even know why they bought that computer, because I don't really remember them ever using it. So we didn't have discs lying around. So I would like scavenge diskettes off of other people if they didn't need them, and then I would end up using those for my boot discs. So I'd have this whole mismatched collection of discs from different manufacturers and whatnot, and I would write on there, I'd make a boot disc for a game, and typically my discs would only work with that specific game, but I would try it with others. And like, I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know any of the lines of code that I was editing. Like, I'd go into the config.sys, and there was 2 other files I think that I went in and edited. And it was all just trial and error. Like, I would just, well, let's delete this and let's delete that and let's see what happens. And if it worked, great. And a story about that, there was one night that I was trying to make a boot disk. And so I'm using the computer and I'm editing my lines of code, and I edit everything out and I save it. And I end up ejecting my disk out of the computer, and I don't know, I rebooted the computer for some reason, and the computer only booted into DOS, because a lot of these disks I would have to take out the command lines so that it wouldn't even boot into Windows. And as soon as that happened, I knew exactly what I had done. I'd accidentally edited all the stuff on the hard drive and not my diskette. And you talk about freaking out. Like, I'm down in the basement and I can hear when people are walking around upstairs, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to fix this. And that computer probably came with a backup disk, but I didn't know that. So I ran back to my bedroom, which was also in the basement. I grabbed all my boot disks, took them back to the office, and I started basically trying to restore those files using all the boot disks that I had. And I don't know if I restored everything correctly, but I was able to get the computer running again. And to this day, my stepdad has no idea that that even happened. But I was like freaking out, and I walked out of the office into the hallway, and I was so pissed off. I was standing with my back against the wall, and I elbowed the wall and ended up putting my elbow through the drywall. So now I'm like freaking out because I broke my stepdad's computer. Now I put a hole in the wall. How am I going to explain all this? How am I going to fix all this? So I fixed the computer, and I lied about whatever I did about the hole in the wall, and then he ended up patching it and fixing it. And that was a real life lesson that day, that I needed to control my teenage temper, and I needed to be careful what I hit. And hitting the wall was a no-no, because my elbow went right through that thing. So anyways, that's about all my experiences really with diskettes. And so the cool thing about PC games, not all of them, but I would say, well, some of them, the instruction manuals would be like themed to the game. So like this instruction manual, it's a detective's manual. It says down here, classified Acme Detective Agency. It was always really cool when, you'd get this stuff and it was themed very much to the game. And that really wasn't the case with console games. You just, you got an instruction manual, and it may or may not have the picture of the front artwork on it, and like that was it. But some of this stuff was themed to the games. And then here's that sheet that I was telling you about that has Carmen and all of her henchmen on it. Hopefully this shows up well. So here's Carmen and all of her henchmen, and then Carmen's down here in the corner. As you can see, she is not in her cell because she's escaped. I don't know. This thing was pretty cool. I thought it was really awesome when I was a kid, so I just wanted to show that. And then here's the encyclopedia I was talking about. So you didn't know the answer to one of your questions. You're going through this encyclopedia, and this thing's thick. Like, it's not small, and like I said, I'm 10 or 11 years old. I'm not proficient with blazing through an encyclopedia. So by the time I found my answer, if I even did find my answer, it was too late. And I can't remember if you had to type your answer in or if it was multiple choice. Because if it was multiple choice, I probably would just take my chance and pick something. Because it just never seemed to work out when I was using the encyclopedia. And I mean, this thing's pretty big. So as you can see, like for this big box PC game, that actually takes up quite a bit of space. They have like a divider in there to kind of hold the encyclopedia in place. And then, so our next game that we're going to look at is NASCAR Racing. This was made by Papyrus, and they really made a name for themselves producing racing games. I would say most notably, or the ones that I know of, are NASCAR Racing and IndyCar Racing. They're not much to look at nowadays, but back in the day, these games were awesome. Like I said, this is a game that Chris introduced to me. This might be the first racing game that I ever played. I really wasn't into racing at all. I wasn't into NASCAR, and this really kind of started that. I was getting older at the time. I would have been in high school. And I guess that's the one thing too, is that I was in high school, like we're talking 94, 95, and I realized how fortunate I was. Out of my small group of friends, Chris was the only one that had a PC. Everybody else had an NES and a Super Nintendo, or an NES and a Genesis. And that was it. So when we got this PC, I still had the NES, the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, and the Sega CD. And then we got this PC. So I had all these avenues that I could play games on. And a lot of times my friends would want to come over to my house. And they would really gravitate towards that PC because the games that you could play on PC were nothing like the games that you could play on the NES or the Super Nintendo, Genesis, or Sega CD. It was just a totally different gaming experience. And there was times where I would have friends come over and they'd start playing a PC game and they just wouldn't want to shut it off. And I asked them to come over so that we could hang out and do things together, and they would get in front of that PC and for like hours. And then I just kind of felt like I was getting used and like I wasn't a part of the picture. Like they just came over to use the PC, which granted, I get it. They didn't have that experience at home, but I can remember being frustrated that it's like, let's do something, like, can we do something together type of thing. Chris's dad was into NASCAR racing, so maybe, I don't think he played this game. I was going to say maybe he bought it, but I don't remember his dad ever using the computer. So I don't know why he got the game. Like, I don't know what his interest was in getting it. Let's see, the manual. Some PC games had like huge manuals. This one's not that big, but I mean, it's pretty decent sized. And then in here, there's a credit card advertisement. Be a part of your favorite NASCAR driver's crew. Get a credit card with their face on it. And then, oh, this is actually pretty cool. There's an advertisement in here for a Thrustmaster steering wheel. So that's pretty cool. Okay. And then the game that we are going to play today, again, this is a game that Chris had. It is Police Quest Open Season, and the reason that we're going to play it is because it is the most intense multimedia CD ever. This game was made by Sierra. At this point, they had dropped the online portion from their name. They were just known as Sierra, and this was really my first introduction into point-and-click adventure games, which was kind of, I mean, this was 94, so we're probably, I guess, well, we're not through the golden age of point-and-click adventure games, but after this, Police Quest had SWAT, and I'm not like a huge point-and-click adventure game fan, so, even LucasArts was doing their games, into the late 90s? I didn't play any of those. Actually, the only LucasArts stuff I really played was the Indiana Jones stuff. And as far as the Quest games go, like King's Quest and Space Quest and all that, I didn't play any of those. Oh. I started on Police Quest, and then I just kind of stuck with it and started playing the games in reverse. None of this stuff is mine, and one of the cool things about buying used stuff is that sometimes you find stuff like that, where this person put this Post-it note in here with the date that they bought this game, and I don't know, that's really cool. I like buying like used PC games, and then you open it up and you find somebody's notes or cheat sheet in there, and you see where they got to in the game, kind of like when you buy a used memory card. I like looking at those things, and because it's just a picture of what that person was interested in for video games, and I don't know, I just think that's kind of cool. Okay, so point-and-click adventure games, there's like a million ways to fail, and in this game, I could not get past this part where you were doing your investigation, and there was like a white cinder block wall, and there was all these like little specks in it. Like, there'd been a shootout, and you had to, I think, pull a bullet out of the wall and use it, or get it as evidence. And I could not get that part of the game to work. Like, I was clicking all over that wall, couldn't get it to work. And in the mid-2000s, they released a Police Quest collection. And I played through all of them. I started with the first one, I went all the way to Open Season, And I got to that part in the game again, and I was like, oh my god, here we go. The first time I clicked on that wall, it worked. So I don't know what happened, but this game, I don't know if this was common or not. This game actually comes with a hint book. Don't know why I wouldn't have gotten past that part if I had the hint book. Maybe the hint's in there, and I don't know, the game was broken. Who knows? But I remember exhausting all of my options and talking to everybody that I possibly could, like through multiple playthroughs, and I'd get to that wall and I just couldn't get it to work. And so the one interesting thing in this game that I wanted to show is that it comes with an abridged manual for the Los Angeles Police Department. So, you know, you'd get quirky stuff like this. And it's just got all this information in here, like radio codes, policies and procedures, and all kinds of stuff. It's, yeah, which I don't remember really using this in the game. I mean, it covers a ton of stuff. Like, they've got required equipment for plainclothes duty officers, ammunition department badge, department ID card, handcuffs and key, memorandum book, pencil, revolver. Like, you wouldn't need to know that in the game, and everything's in there, but there's the different uniforms. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff, but this stuff was cool, you know. You'd buy a PC game and you assume that there was probably going to be a whole bunch of like weird stuff in it like this. So, you know, I'd always get a game and I'd rip the plastic off of it and I'd be looking at everything that was inside the box on the way home. And then I'd get it home, install it, and then it would crash, and then I'd spend the next, whatever, hour or two making a boot disk. Like, it was very much a period of experimentation, which is, I think, why I always stuck with console gaming and why PC gaming would come and go. There was other reasons that it went, you know, that it would come and go, but I just couldn't trust the software back in the 90s, although I did think I got everything that I bought to work. So anyways, yeah, let's load up Police Quest Open Season. This will probably be the only point-and-click adventure game for PC that I show. And I thought, well, I don't know how interesting this is going to be. Like, and I wasn't going to show Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. And playing NASCAR racing sounded like it might be just as boring. And there'll be other racing games that we're talking about. So I kind of want to play this one because it's probably going to be the only one we see. And the game starts off at a crime scene in an alleyway. And so I just think I don't know, I'll work the crime scene and then, I don't know, well, I'll see what other areas of the game that there are, and then maybe we can go to those and check a few things out so you guys can get a taste of what Police Quest is if you haven't played it, and if you have played it, maybe you'll remember doing some of these things back in 94 and 95 when you were a kid. So let's get this game loaded up and check it out. Alright guys, as you can see, we're here in the alleyway and our crime scene. So these point-and-click adventure games, you kind of just want to talk to everybody and click on everything. So I'm going to talk to all the police officers that are here. I'm not going to talk to these two individuals over here. You could if you were actually going to, you know, play through the game in earnest, but that's not what I'm doing today.
Sam, do you have a preliminary finding on Hickman's cause of death?
It's hard to say, John. There are no evident bullet wounds. There are cervical contusions, possibly asphyxiation. There's no unusual sputum, so it's difficult to think poisoning, but I'm not ruling anything out. Whoever did this was definitely non-compos mentis. By the way, notice that the index finger on the right hand is missing.
Hello, Chester. Thanks for coming out.
Sure, Detective. This is one horrible night when one of our own goes down. I'm glad to be of service. Let me know when you want photos.
Officer Woodbury, I'm taking over as lead investigator.
Yes, sir, Detective Carey. I have my crime scene log for you.
So you heard that little ding there. I believe that's when you do something that is like a key part of the game. If we go to like the, I guess it's the menu screen or the pause screen, you can see the score and it says 3. I don't know if a ding is always good. Like, I don't know if you can increase your score and decrease your score. I just can't remember. But I think for the most part, a ding means you did something right. But again, I'm not 100% sure.
I'll be stepping in as lead investigator, officer. Can you tell me what the situation was when you got here?
Yes, sir. Woodbury and I were on our regular patrol. We spotted the body as we drove by. We radioed in, then moved in on the scene. We checked the alley for possible assailants, but found no one. Everything is pretty much as it was when we arrived.
Okay, so we'll go to our inventory, we'll get our car keys, get into the trunk of our car, grab our investigation kit, and then let's see, take the notepad and start documenting stuff.
Detective, noting physical evidence of the deceased is necessary, but most unpleasant. Graffiti is often left behind by gangs. Recording the symbol could prove useful. The tortured and tormented body of Bob Hickman, LAPD, lies lifeless among the alley debris. An obvious case of felonious homicide.
So now, as you can see here, there's this object right here, and if we click on the eyeball...
A lipstick-stained cigarette lies near Hickman's body.
Okay, so obviously that's going to be important.
An empty holster can mean only one thing: another gun on the street. A gruesome sight. Contusions and burn marks appear on Hickman's abused body.
Okay, so if we open up our investigation kit, we can grab our piece of chalk and we can outline the body and outline the cigarette as evidence.
Detective, this cigarette could be evidence.
And then, obviously, if you're a detective and you're going to be investigating the area, you want to look all over the place, so we're going to check this dumpster.
The body of a young boy lies strewn in the dumpster.
And we'll want to make a note of that.
Recording information at the crime scene ensures accurate reports later.
Nobles, Chester, we have another body.
And then we'll talk to our, I don't know, CSI person, and she'll collect all the evidence.
It looks like it's going to be a busy night for you, Chester.
Unfortunately, our streets are being taken over by violence. Innocent people being killed. It's uncivilized, sir.
Chester, take over on the evidence.
Yes, Detective.
This stuff really impressed me at the time, like the graphics, the pictures that were then digitized into the game along with all of these people, and I like the way she's moving around and taking pictures. I don't know, I found it pretty impressive back in the day.
Whenever you're ready, fellas, I'm finished.
John, we can handle it from here. Stop by tomorrow for the autopsy. We'll know more then.
And I believe when this game came out, it was on diskette first, and all the conversations were in text. And then when they brought it out on CD, they added voice work for everybody. All right, this scene here, the chief is talking to us and basically making sure that we're going to be okay to be on the investigation, as we were a partner with the deceased, and, you know, are we going to be able to complete the investigation? So I didn't think you guys would be that interested in watching this part. The one thing I want to make mention of is that Daryl F. Gates assisted with the creation of this game, and he's someone noteworthy, I guess, in law enforcement. He's credited with the creation of SWAT and the DARE program, and then he was the police chief in LA when the Rodney King riots started, and he retired shortly thereafter because I'm pretty sure a lot of the blame fell on him for how poorly that situation was handled. And so if you click anywhere on the screen, you could advance through the conversation, so I'm going to do that now. And then I stand up and I grow like a foot.
Too bad about Hickman, Jr. Guess this hits you pretty hard, huh? Well, hell, don't let it. Damn scumbags out there. They're just goddamn lucky I'm a desk jockey. If I was on the street, I'd whip their collective disrespectful butts. You know, Junior, this case is gonna generate a lot of paperwork, and a lot of calling. You're just goddamn lucky you got me as your partner in this one. Damn lucky.
So our partner is obviously the grizzled veteran detective. And so if we click on our desk,
It's your very own desk.
there's a memo on here, and then there's a form in the drawer that we can basically document all of our findings from the crime scene.
You take a 3.14 follow-up report form out of your desk drawer.
Close that. You can open this one too, and there's an item in here. And then if we go to our inventory, we can combine our notes with the forms we just got.
You write up a 3.14 documenting the incidents relating to the alley.
Okay, and then we want to give that to our partner.
Here you go, Hal.
Sure, Junior.
And then we'll give him the other form that the patrol officer gave us. Maybe this one?
Alley crime scene log prepared by Officer Woodbury.
Yep.
Hal, here's the Hickman crime scene log. It was prepared by Officer Woodbury from the 77th.
Hey, you're damn lucky you got me taking care of this book, Junior. Damn lucky.
And then we can ask Hal questions. This first one is a cigarette in the alley.
Hal, has anything come back on the cigarette found in the alley?
Damn straight it has, Junior. SID identified DNA on the damn thing. Science is a wonder, ain't it, kid? You connect that DNA to somebody's butt, and you got yourself a case.
And then the coroner results.
How about test results? Any preliminary information?
I can't get nothing out of that damn Nobles. Spoke to that dingy tomato down there, Carrie or something. All she could say was, the toxicology tests and ballistics are running. She's damn lucky she doesn't work for me. That's all I can say. Damn lucky.
And the crash unit.
Hal, have you made contact with the folks over at Crash? Were they able to give you any information on Bob?
Now, those boys are men, I'll tell you that, Junior. Fighting in the trenches, battling the main streets. You're to tread lightly, Junior. They're working undercover in that neighborhood. Have been for a couple of months. Your man to talk to is Varaz. You got all that, Junior?
All right, so those are all of our questions that Hal can answer, and we're going to take off and leave, do some investigating.
You call the elevator.
I gotta say, I like this little police car icon for the cursor, like when it's loading. Because I'd always go like, boo, boo.
You select the lobby as your destination.
Now you can interact with numerous objects in this game. We've got change in our inventory. We could actually buy a candy bar out of there if we wanted to. But we're not going to. We are going to proceed out of the build. Well, we're going to try to proceed out of the building.
Last night, the LAPD was shaken to its roots as Officer Robert Hickman, Police Officer of the year 1992, was found brutally slain in a South Central neighborhood. Heading up the Hickman investigation is veteran homicide detective John Carey. Carey is best known for solving the murder of Lane Blair, the stunning actress featured in many of the action-adventure Straight Shots movies. Detective Carey has been unavailable for comment, and all requests for a formal statement from the department have been denied. However, we have been told by an unofficial source that the department is looking at this as a gang killing. As the investigation continues... Oh, wait, here comes Detective Carey now. Detective Carey, over here. Christy Bilden with KKAT. Detective Carey! Detective Carey, would you care to make a statement concerning the murder of Officer Hickman?
So obviously we can't.
No comment.
So whenever you talk to her, all the questions that she
Could
asks,
you comment on the speculation that this is a gang-related murder?
you say no comment.
No comment.
And she just keeps asking questions.
Get that camera out of my face.
You can talk to the camera guy, and then if you try to move, she blocks your path.
What about the
And I'm just going to click through her talking. The only way I know how to get
Detective
past
Carey.
this is that you actually, like, move her out of the way.
What do you think you're doing? Hey! The physical abuse I have just experienced at the hands of Detective Carey is consistent with the treatment I've received from this entire department in trying to report this story. As a reporter and citizen of this city, I fear for our First Amendment rights. I'm Christy Bilden, reporting for KKAT.
I don't know if that's the thing that you're supposed to do, but it dings at you. So, I don't know. Here's your map screen where there's all these different areas that we can go to in LA, and the red dots are all different locations. That memo that we picked up was actually because we have a shooting qualification, so I thought maybe we'd go to the Police Academy range and do some shooting so you guys could see that. Target range open.
You turn the knob and open the door, Detective.
Howdy, partner. You're here mighty early. Ain't scheduled to qualify till Wednesday. You planning on a little practice shooting today?
Okay, we got a form to fill out.
You fill the form out according to department specifications.
And then we give the form to our guy here.
Filled out and ready to go, Bert.
Thank you, partner.
And we got to pay for our ammunition.
Thank you, partner.
You pick up the headgear.
And we should be good to go.
Office.
So let's put on our PPE.
Officers, headgear on. All firearms to low ready.
Grab our Beretta.
Phase 1. Ready on the right, ready on the left. Attention. Gun to low ready. Prepare for phase 2.
You load your Beretta.
Grab it again.
2. Ready on the right, ready on the left, attention. Gun to low ready. Prepare for phase 3.
You load your barrel.
Phase 3. Ready on the right, ready on the left, attention. Gun to low ready. Prepare for phase 4.
You load.
Phase 4. Ready on the right, ready on the left, attention. Gun to low ready.
I didn't know there was going to be
Prepare
3.
for phase 5.
You load.
Phase 5. Ready on the right, ready on the left, attention. Gun to low ready. Prepare for phase 6.
You load.
Phase 6. Ready on the right,
Holy
ready
crap.
on the left, attention. Holster all firearms.
Well, not terrible. 400 points. I don't know if that's good or not.
You load your barrel.
I don't know if this is it. Okay, that's it. I'll walk back out here. We'll have to turn our PPE back in.
That there was some shooting, cowboy. Thank you, partner.
Okay. We'll head to our map screen again, and then we'll go to the morgue. Here. As you can see, we drive a Thunderbird Super Coupe. That is a supercharged version of Thunderbird. You can kind of see right here where it says SC.
Entering the morgue always provides a sense of anticipation.
This lady's voice. Oh my god.
Hi, Detective Carey.
So you can talk to her, but she's a stickler for rules, and she wants to see your badge before you go back in. So you can just show her the badge.
No time to say hello, Detective Carey? Wow, you must be real busy.
I am.
You can go on in, Detective Carey.
Hello, Detective Carey. Why did the idiot tiptoe past the medicine cabinet?
I don't know.
Because he didn't want to wake the sleeping pills. Go right in, Detective.
Hello, John.
Hello, Sam. I'd like to ask you a few questions, Sam. You got a minute?
You bet, John. Fire away.
And by a few, there's a ton, because there's questions specific to the dead child and Hickman. So if we click on these...
Sam, what can you tell me about the youth?
Exactly what would you like to know, John?
there's a whole bulk of questions here, so I don't think it'd be very entertaining for you guys to watch this, and I've probably played this for at least, I don't know, 25 minutes, maybe a half hour. So I think I'm going to call it right here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.